New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
New Thought Media Network proudly presents The High Vibe Hour. The High Vibe Hour with Rev Cynthia and Rev Skip. Fridays at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. Only on New Thought Media Network.
Hey everyone, welcome to the High Vibe Hour. I'm Rev Skip Jennings.
And I'm Rev Cynthis Abriz.
I think I'm just full of joy right now, Rev. We're really doing this. How are you? Oh my God, we're doing a show.
I love that we get to have this experience together. Thank you, Skip.
You're so welcome. And thank you. I'm calling it the prac session on steroids because we get to just be open and loving with each other as we go through this journey of spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
How are you doing this week?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
These teachings really help to stay centered and grounded and also be a compassionate space as we witness our world.
Yes. Oh, cool. As we witness our world as us.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, we're in the midst of fire.
Mm-hmm.
And, fire is the element of transformation, of heating, of purification. And here in LA, we're going through our fires right now. So it's been a real practice in just believing and a practice in remembering and a practice in just being still because, some of us have to stay place where we are right here. So it's been a week. But I'm grateful to have you on this network with me, the New Thought Media Network. And I'm returning back to this network. I'm just so grateful to be here. Absolutely. You want to pray in? Do you want to do a pray in before we get dropping into this experience?
Yeah, let's bless the space. All right.
Yes.
So I invite you to just close your eyes for a moment and let's take a deep breath. And with that exhale, we come into the space of the heart, where each time that we enter this space, we are enveloped in a field of divine unconditional love. Always welcomed, as we are reminded that we are its beloved. And so I'm grateful and thankful to take this opportunity to turn within and allow ourselves to be reminded of this presence that is love, that is everywhere present, that is the divine intelligence, the source of all of existence. And to know that it is its breath that is breathing us and its life that beats our hearts. And so we are eternally one with this presence. It simply is the truth. And so I bless our time together here this day, blessing the network, blessing Rev Skip, blessing myself, blessing everyone that listens in today or at a later time. Amen.
Amen. It's beautiful. I always love the way you pray.
Oh, thank you.
You bring that heartfelt experience. So I think for our listeners and for those who are just getting to know us, and some of us, they know us, some doesn't, maybe not know us together as this High Vibe Hour. So let's do a little kind of get to know each other. Why is it so important for us to do, or for you right now, to bring forth spirituality through this network, through this High Vibe Hour show?
I love the idea of making these teachings more easily accessible for people. And I believe that where we're currently at as a society, that people enjoy podcasts.
Yeah.
So why not put it out through this avenue, this medium? And the more that I grow and expand through these teachings, there is also a very deep desire to want to share that with people. Right? It's like, it doesn't have to be so hard.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I what you said, it's practical, because I believe that spirituality is practical, but we make it so complex in our heads because we're so smart. We're too smart sometimes, but it really is simple. And I love how you want to make it accessible for everyone. And that's an easy way to do it. People drop into a podcast or on YouTube, because we're on YouTube, Facebook. We're going to be doing audio podcasts through this as well. We get to really give people the app to really connect with themselves. So I love that.
Yes. And what's your reason? What's your why?
Well, my why, we always know what the what is. And I love that Julie Moret talks about that. The what is always God. We always know that. But my why, and in her book, says you have to have a reason why you're doing something. And so my why has always been, I was born to do radio, born to be a podcaster. This is I think this is my seventh podcast. I've had many, many podcasts. I go back to the day where, I don't know if you remember Blog Talk Radio.
Oh, yeah.
Blog Talk Radio, where we had to call into a phone. And we used to, do our recordings to a phone. That's where I got my start. And, the show was The Shift. And so I began to do that. One of my very first guests was Marianne Williamson. And it was when she was first running for president. And I realized at a point, I want to do this for the rest of my life. I want to get on the radio. I want to give this energy of spirituality through podcasting and radio. So I believe this is just a continuation on what I do as a minister, what I do as an author, what I do as a spiritual practitioner. And this is part of the evolution. And you talked a little bit about this. Everyone's listening to podcasts right now. So why are we not bringing our teachings to a space within a podcast? And to go a little bit deeper, following what you were saying, this time in our global community needs spirituality. It needs to have a focus of where are we going as a global community? Where are we leading ourselves to the global? Listen, I remember one of our teachers, Michael Beckwith, said this: we're either going to post things that's going to separate people, or post things that's going to bring people together. And I believe this is the call for us to post things or do a podcast that brings people into this space.
I absolutely agree. I know when even going through prac studies so many years ago, and even though social media wasn't quite as big as it is now,
right?
But they would tell us to be mindful of what we were posting on our social media. Right. So I agree. It's like, and why not use this avenue to promote the oneness that is the truth?
Yeah. Absolutely. It's people will get to know us, tell a little bit about our journey. We actually have known each other for almost, I think, about 18 years now. Being at Agape, we went through Agape teachings and the Agape International Spiritual Center when it was on Buckingham back in the day. And we went to classes together. I graduated, you graduated after me. Then we went to ministerial school together. We graduated ministerial school together. And now we're both in a pulpit community. Where's your community? Where are you?
So I'm currently at the Las Vegas Centers for Spiritual Living.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm assistant minister at the North Hollywood Church of Religious Science. We're both in pulpit. So I look at how our journey has mirrored each other, supported each other, walked together on this journey together. How important is it to have a tribe of longevity in your spiritual growth? Because I know how important you are to me.
And vice versa. I can instantly flash back to a memory of when I first began classes at Agape, and you being one of my first facilitators in class, and it being the very first time that I had experienced that level of safety and love. It was so brand new to me.
Wow.
Mhm. And that environment has been the container throughout all of these years as I continue to dive into exploring what it means to be me, the real me.
Yeah. Ooh. Wow.
So
Wow.
for that reason alone, having these relationships and these environments is absolutely essential in transformation and healing and evolution.
Yeah. Absolutely. I remember. And so I'm going to speak. You spoke about the time, and I'm going to speak about this week.
Yes.
We're, like I mentioned, we're going through the fires, which I know all of our listeners and the world knows, and people are reaching out saying, how are you? How are you? How are you? We're good. We're safe here in Culver City, but there are fires raging around us. And then we got the notice, one of our landlady and her family lost everything in the Palisades and the big, huge loss of the community. But again, I don't want to do a spiritual bypass on this. Nothing's lost in the mind of God, which I really truly believe that nothing lost in the universe, but there is tangible losses that we have on the human incarnation. So she lost her primary home and everything in it. Nothing, they could get nothing out of the house but their lives. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Divine Source. Thank you that they're safe. And yesterday they came to the house, knocked on the door, and they, requested that we begin to move out so they have a place to live. And the first person I called was you.
Wow.
I mean, it was like, wow, okay. Remember we had that conversation. I had just found out and I am in tears and I'm like going, and just your calming voice and your, even when practitioners and ministers can't remember or don't have the full ability to hold space for themselves. We have spiritual posse. We have the practitioner, the friends, the Reverend Sister Girls that are our friends to hold space for us. And that's what you eloquently did for me. And I'm forever, ever grateful. And I believe that trust has come from years of us going through different iterations of spirituality together. So I want to thank you for that. Prayer partners are for life, right?
Absolutely. We are, as practitioners, we are trained to hold the space for the perfect idea of God to break through the veil of time here in this dimension.
Yeah.
And it's that ability for us to hold the space for one another, right? That allows the manifestation of that perfect idea.
So well put. I think you have a book. Have you that's in your book? I know some iteration of that is in your book, a dynamic book. We'll talk about that in a moment, but maybe let's give our listeners a little bit of a journey. How did you find New Thought?
So it was 2007, and I was subscribed to a spiritual Netflix. It was called Spiritual Cinema Circles. And I used to receive a monthly DVD from them. And one day I popped in the DVD and it was showing a spiritual center and the choir, and everyone was wearing all these brilliant colors. And they showed like this really charismatic man, right, with long dreads on the stage. And I thought, oh my God, what is that? Where is that place? And I had that DVD since 2007. And in the back of my mind, I said, one day I want to go to that place. And I lived in Long Beach at the time. But for some reason, I thought it was very far away from me. I didn't know where it was located. And then one day in 2011, somehow Agape address showed up for me. And I was like, are you kidding me? It's been in Culver City all this time, these last 4 years. And so then what happened was, what happened was my brother and I decided to go on a New Year's Eve hike. And as we were hiking, my brother says to me, you know, sister, I'm feeling a call to go to church, but I'm not feeling drawn to the Catholic Church. I'm not feeling drawn to the Christian church. And I said, oh my gosh, there's a place that I've been wanting to go to. Will you go with me? Because I was very, very shy. And so my brother, my sister-in-law, and myself showed up at the first service during that New Year's 2012. Wow. And during the service, Reverend Michael invites people to turn around and look at someone and then repeat these affirmative, loving statements to them or to each other. And my brother, my sister-in-law, and I were just weeping, sobbing for the first time in our lives, hearing these statements of truth about who we are and being seen in this way. So that was how I landed at Agape. And my brother and my sister-in-law did not continue to come, but I feel like Spirit facilitated that just so that they could drop me off.
Yeah. I love that. Yes. Oh. What was the thing that kept you going? What was that something? I know it's God, but how did God show up to keep you going? I love this story.
Well, and considering that I used to feel like a feral cat, very skittish of people.
Yeah.
It took everything within me to just get in my car and go back again and again. But at the time, I was dealing with an autoimmune condition, and Reverend Michael said something from the pulpit about the metamorphosis that a butterfly has to go through, right? The caterpillar surrendering and going into the cocoon. And something clicked inside of me, and I said, so if I die to my old self, can I emerge a butterfly? And perhaps that will do away with the condition.
Wow.
That was, and so Reverend Michael said, classes were about to start. The first class was going to be coming up like the following month. And he said, do yourself a favor, sign up for a class. And then he said, and don't say I didn't warn you, but your life is going to change.
Buckle up, fasten up. Here we go.
Right. So at the time, I was making enough money to pay my mortgage, my car, my bills, but there wasn't much spending money left. So I went home and I was, weighing the options. What can I let go of to be able to afford this class? And so I said, I'm going to let go of my cable. It was $250 a month. And that's how much the class was going to be, $250. So I let go, I released the cable and began my first class at Agape.
Oh my goodness. I love this because you said yes to the universe and the universe said yes to you. It's you said, I'm giving up this cable here, but I'm embracing everything.
Everything.
Isn't that great how we do this? How we look at what we are and we think about what we're losing, but we're actually creating space to receive. Wow. Did you miss that $250 cable bill for that month or whatever it was? Did you miss it?
No, and I didn't miss True Blood at all.
Wait a minute. That was my show too. Back in the day, True Blood was my show.
It was Sunday evenings with a glass of wine, a steak, and True Blood.
Listen. I love.
But here's the big thing about all of that. You think that you're surrendering this fun life, right? It's like, and that was when I actually began to enjoy my life. it was the very beginning of what it means to actually be able to enjoy life, to enjoy discovering who I really am.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So what I got in exchange was me.
Ooh, powerful.
Mhm.
Powerful. Wow.
And how did you land at agape?
Well, my journey, I mean, the actual journey to New Thought, the journey to metaphysics and, Church of Religious Science, Science of Mind actually began when I was a little baby. And I always recognize that when people say, "So how'd you get here?" It began when I was a little baby, not even one, or I think maybe a little bit, maybe about just a little over 1 years old. And I would run around, so much energy, much like today, a lot of energy, a lot of, and my grandmother said to my mother, "That boy's so bad, he's going to be a minister." And from that point on, I always rang true. My mother always told me that story over and over and over again until it was deep within my consciousness and my DNA. I knew there was a calling upon me. Part of my journey comes from a place of trying to fit into a traditional religion, trying to fit into the Southern Baptist Pentecostal way of living, but having this dark secret. And I call it a dark secret because I was not living my truth in the light. So I call it a dark secret, that I was gay. And I knew that this was something that was innately within me. It was a divine expression of who I am, but I just didn't have the words to articulate it. So I hid it. I hid it for a long time, didn't talk about it. It was, be in the closet. It was a time I was actually, going to Oral Roberts University. I was accepted. And in the agreement, there is no homosexuality at Oral Roberts University. And I went, okay, well, this is not going to work. So instead I decided to, go into music education. And then I went to film school at NYU. I got here to California. I knew that I wanted to find a spiritual community where I could be myself. So I got involved with the Episcopalian faith. In fact, I was in discernment of becoming an Episcopal priest. And in the Episcopalian faith, you can be whoever. You can be, gay, you can be a woman, you can be a priest. You're just, you're here to serve your community, here to serve God, very much of what we did here. And my best friend, Bill, said, we were talking online, and he says, "Have you ever been to Agape?" And I went, "I heard about Agape." And he said, "Okay, so next Sunday we're going to go to Agape." And we did. And I walked through the door and I felt everything I had been looking for, the energy, the vibration, high vibe hour. Boy, that was a high vibe energy going into Buckingham. From when we stepped onto the parking lot, there was this vibration, this energy, this love. It was so incredibly high, the highest vibration I've ever felt in my life. And in that moment, and Michael Beckwith was even speaking that day. It was Edwin Gaines, and she was speaking on her principles of prosperity and abundance. And I went, I don't care. I mean, I just felt this energy. I knew I wanted to be here. I was called to be here. And I said to Reverend Michael, I said, I'm supposed to be here. And he didn't even speak. And I shook his hand. He said, "Welcome home."
Wow.
And I knew from that place, okay. So, and I even said to Bill, I said, "I'm going to be a minister here." And he says, "Well, I think we had a conversation. Well, you have certain things you got to do first. You got to go through practitioner training. I'm doing it. I just knew I'm going through practitioner training. I'm taking classes. I think there was a class that was starting, foundation was starting that week. Like you, I jumped right into classes, didn't stop. Even after I went through practitioner, which is not really recommended, but I got the permission from Reverend John and Reverend Cheryl, Dr. Cheryl Ward, to go in to start ministerial classes right after graduating from practitioner. You should probably take a year off maybe, but they were like, go, just do it. And I jumped right into ministerial, and here we are in pulpit. And that's a journey.
I love that at times Spirit shows us the goal, but not necessarily the steps that are going to be required to arrive.
Yeah.
And I feel that that's grace when we're only shown like the next step and the next step, because otherwise it can feel overwhelming.
It's when we are really, I love that word grace that you're talking about. It's also that place where, when you get that yes and it's a yes, you don't try to work it out.
Mhm.
It's like, I'm doing this. It's like, I believe this is where you wonder how people are successful in the entertainment business or the entertainment in business or whatever. They have tapped into their yes. And they're like, okay, I don't know how to do this, but I'm going to do it. And that's how I was with ministry. I was like, I don't know how to do this, but I'm going to do it. Now, part of this practice, I believe that we're here to do is to practice to release what we think it is. So then we make tap into what it really is.
I agree. And, what the beautiful thing is that I've discovered on this journey called my life is that it's been creating itself moment by moment. And so, people speak about the importance of being present in the now. I get it now, because otherwise it's like I would have missed out on the beauty of all that has been happening if I wasn't able to be present just in this moment. Like, this is a new experience for us. And I was like, don't miss it. Pay attention. Catch
be
it.
here, be now. How do you stay present though? I know I'm being a yoga instructor and teaching meditation on Insight Timer app and on these different social media platforms. I teach being in the moment is being in the breath, being in the now. I tell you, I have to constantly bring myself back to the breath. How do you stay in your now moment? What is your practice of staying very centered in here? And it doesn't mean that we don't go off to the left and the right. I believe we do it.
Yeah.
But how do we get back? Isn't that the spiritual journey, getting back to the now moment?
I think one of the easiest ways is to like visualize my awareness dropping from my mind into my heart.
Ooh. Say that again. That was good. Maybe I need to take a digital note on that one. That might be in my talk next week. So go ahead. Say it again.
Right. So just noticing my awareness drop from the mind into the heart. And then there's a shift biologically. I could feel it in my body. Is one of the ways that I work with it. And then like the long-term application or practice for it is training the mind how to come back. Right. So if our minds want to go out into the future or it wants to go back into the past. So when I notice that I'm in either one of those two places, I'm like, come back right here, back here, come back. And training the mind to
come back.
To come back.
Yeah, that is the practice. That is the practice. And Wayne Baldwin, one of my longtime followers on this network, he says hi. He's dropping into this space here. Welcome, Wayne. I love this because we talk about balance in yoga. And part of teaching balance is we must get off balance and find our way back to center balance. That's how we learn balance.
Okay.
See, if we're always walking in balance and we're always here to do, we never learn the practice of actually building our balance. Same thing with our transformation. I believe everything's divinely orchestrated for us to come back here. Everything that we are experiencing is always bringing us back to our divine self. So the fires, the breakups, the heartaches, the time that we put on the extra 10 pounds that we didn't want and we just beating ourselves up here and say, okay, you ready to come back? I remember the other day and I'm like, Rev, I'm having this what the bleepity bleep moment, God, and I'm just pissed off. And I'm like, God, I'm angry. And you said, and God is saying, well, good. Now you're talking to me. And I realized, yeah, you're right. I have been in that space and it took that discomfort, dis-ease to bring me back to center. That was life-changing.
I was thinking about that. because when we have partners like business partners or romantic partners, we consult with them, often before making big decisions, or even like, where do you want to go for dinner, or what kind of marketing plan do you want to implement for the new year? But at what point do we do that in our lives? Do we ask God,
Yeah.
what are we going to be creating this year for ourselves in this life? Right? Consulting with God.
Oh my God. I just got another incredible download. Thank you, Rev, because our teaching teacher, we're co-creating
Yes.
this life with the divine. If we're co-creating and we have a co-creation alignment, because I know partnership still makes it kind of feels like it's outside of me, but the alignment, the co-creator alignment within me, I don't always refer or ask or co-create. I'm always in this space of, I got this, and taking the mindful time to co-create. That means sit your butt down and ask God. Talk to God and listen. Don't just ask, listen.
Right? It's like we have the visioning process, right?
Ooh.
That allows us to become available for what it is that God wants to create as our life. And we have prayer, right? They say prayer and meditation. Prayer is us speaking to God. Meditation is us listening. And then I feel that as we dialogue with God on a regular basis, then we're creating an intimacy, an intimate relationship with it. So it brings it even closer, I feel, for me.
Yeah. That's powerful. Intimacy. Having an intimate relationship with the divine, that takes a whole different meaning to high vibe.
Yeah.
The high vibe hour. Because how intimate are we really? Some people know about God, some people know God, some people have an intimate relationship with the divine spirit, God, Gaia, universe, whatever you want to call it. It's the same energy. So how intimate are we with this energy that we are, our true nature? I heard something, I think it was Iyanla Vanzant that wrote this, and it was, are we willing to date ourselves? Are we willing to go out and have a date with God? You and God. You and God, date yourself, date your higher self. So being there, having dinner with God. Now, if you're in a restaurant and you talking to God, people might go, especially in this time of day, might go, oh my God, there's one of them. But yeah, I want to be one of them.
Right? It's true. I love that you said that. It's how intimate are we with our own higher self? Because the soul knows what it came here to accomplish.
Ooh.
The physical extension of the soul, this part of us that is visible, sometimes may not feel that there is a clarity in the communication between the two, right? The higher self and the boots on the ground version of it. So it's like, of course, I want to deepen my relationship with myself, with my higher self, with God, so that this aspect of me can hear the guidance of what it is that we're going to do next. According to the divine blueprint of the soul itself.
Yeah. Wow. I'm just getting all this in, and I'm going back to, especially this time. And Linda Rose, we recognize you. Blessings from Studio City, in the midst of this experience of the fire, which we'd start off this conversation in. There's been times where, I would say probably 90% of this experience of the fires has not been an intimate relationship with the divine, asking for direction. It's really been a reactionary experience, trying to maneuver here. Can I get to North Hollywood here? Can I get to work here? Can I move here? Can I, all this experience has been something outside of me. In fact, until yesterday when we were asked to move, I was praying for people outside of myself. I was praying for people as if, oh, they're going through that experience, and how blessed am I? Oh, I'm so spiritual. How blessed am I? You know, I still got my house and this. And now it's timing. This experience brought this intimacy of this experience of the fires and of the displacement, because I am now displaced. Well, I'm still in the home and we still have some time, but it brought this intimate experience of God as me going through this and experiencing this. And this too is God in the midst of this. Am I willing to have an intimate experience, or am I having a reactionary experience from this? Am I able to sit and be with my feelings and what I'm experiencing as God? You know what I'm saying?
I do. And I love that you brought that up, because sometimes when we start diving into spirituality, we think that we're not supposed to have challenges. And when they do show up, sometimes we think, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Right? Am I being punished for something? Have I not accomplished, learned, or grown enough that this thing is showing up? And part of the beauty of what we are here to do is to be able to embrace the full spectrum of what it means to be human. That's what we're doing here. We came to have this human incarnation, and the human experience is filled with the ups and the downs, you know, the lefts and the rights. And it's like not having a resistance to the thing that you came here to experience in the first place.
Who? You're getting into some Sue Morter vibes. I know you are a student of Sue Morter. And it's that brings back to the bus stop experience.
Yes.
What are you coming down here to experience? We're at the heaven. If y'all don't know this is a very incredible teaching. I don't think Sue is the only teacher that teaches this, but I think there's a lot of teachers that teach this. Yeah, we're in heaven. We're in the heavenly bus stop, and we're taking a bus to go down to earth, and we're both having, or all of us having, this conversation. What are you going to experience on this earth? And what are you going to experience on this earth? And what are you going to experience on this earth? And we decide that we get to decide, oh, I'm going to experience divine love and worthiness, and I'm going to do this, and we get to decide what we're here to experience. And then we get down here, we're going, I ain't going to experience this. I'm going to tap into more shopping. I'm going to tap into more eating, more martinis. I'm going to tap into whatever it is that we choose not to experience this experience. And this is so dope, because we get to remember, oh, we chose to experience this. So how are we going to wake up to our true nature through this?
And maybe it's not the experience itself as it's rolling out,
right?
But whatever that experience is going to facilitate for you and me at the level of our soul and our consciousness, and and remembering who and what we are, that's the thing that we said we wanted to accomplish. And the other day, I went back to watch Jesus Christ Superstar.
Oh, I haven't seen that in a while.
Right? I hadn't seen it since I was 5 years old. And then do you know that the opening scene is of the bus driving through the desert?
Oh, that's right.
Right? And arriving at their destination. And then the character that was going to play Judas, Carl Anderson from Agape.
Right. That's right.
He exits the bus, and then the character that's going to play Jesus, and then the characters that are going to play the Pharisees, and then there's all these characters that get down. And I was like, are you kidding me? The bus stop conversation was in this movie that was filmed in the 70s.
Oh my God. Wow. Okay. I never saw that like that.
So
you're right.
And there's a scene that really got me, because Carl Anderson and the person that's playing Jesus in the movie, Judas is not happy with how Jesus is going about executing his plan here. And at a certain point, they lock hands, and Judas and he are just singing to one another. And Judas says in his lyrics, "We've been in this together from the beginning."
Okay, listen, this is powerful. We're going to take a little breather and then we'll come back after this and then we'll get back into a little bit more conversation. Let's take a moment here. Let's just take a moment. That's powerful stuff. Oh.
New Thought Media Network proudly presents the 2025 season for Nonviolence Meditation Series, January 31st through April 4th. Embrace nonviolence every day with our 64 unique video meditations. Join us at 6 a.m. Mountain Time or watch anytime on our YouTube channel. Featuring a collection of New Thought voices, the 2025 season for Nonviolence Meditation Series. Only on New Thought Media Network. January 31st through April 4th.
Wow. Okay. So you just like, you shook me.
Sorry.
Rev. That was amazing. That was amazing. I want to bring some insight to our listeners and to our viewers. Check out the season for nonviolence. We have ministers like us who will be doing the meditations. Make sure you get into that season of nonviolence because we can really shift this energy in this world right now. Consciousness creates form. That's what we teach. That's what we believe. And so we're going to bring the energy in the midst of non-violence in the way we move. And I remember talking about going back to the bus stop. I remember Michael Beckwith had a thing about that, and other teachers talked about this, is that at the bus stop, you might say that I'm going to bring this energy of peace by way of perpetrating a violent act. And I'm that threw me. It's like, yeah, how we are going to show up to give that lesson can be in multiple ways.
One of my teachers, Akili Beckwith, who's been my practitioner since I arrived at Agape, is a big Course in Miracles teacher as well and student. And he used to tell me, he doesn't need to, I guess, anymore. But he used to tell me that regardless of how somebody was showing up in my life, that at the bottom, underneath it all, that there was love. And I remember thinking, okay, you're off your rocker. There's no way that this person could be coming from love when they're doing the things that they're doing. But if you rewind it far back enough to when we're hanging out at the cosmic bus stop before we're taking physical form, and there's your soul tribe, and they're listening in to what it is that you want to accomplish when you come here to Earth. And then because of the love, they say, okay, I'll volunteer to play the role of.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
That's where the love is.
Yeah. Another, we're giving the who we are inspired by teachers. David Alt is one of my teachers, my friend, and we had this conversation when I was in Florida, when I was, senior minister at CSL Fort Lauderdale. And I was going through some real interesting times. I was going through the appearance of some racist things that were happening and this energy, and that wasn't everyone, but it was my experience. And I called David All and said, I need to talk to you, brother. And he said, we sat down, had a great conversation. And I think I was like in my wah, baby, my spiritual baby, wah. I want racism to stop. I want this to stop. I want this to. And he's just smiled as David All could do. And he goes shaking his head. And he said, one thing that shifted me, he says, it won't. He says, this is the polarity experience of the divine.
Wow.
We are meant to have these experiences, these low vibrational, this high vibrational. This is experience because if we truly believe that all is God, God is all, then everything that we're experiencing is in the presence of the divine. That shifted me to realize, and it doesn't mean that we don't pray to remember in the midst of the war, God is there, peace is there, love is there. We speak affirmative in our prayer when we see a brother or sister that is experiencing cancer, experiencing, terminal of releasing this body and experience of a sickness. We speak divine wholeness and health. We pray divine health and wholeness. Someone who is experiencing lack and limitation, we speak the affirmative word of they're abundant. No matter what I see, no matter what they're experiencing, they are abundant and they live in a prosperous universe. Therefore, their true nature is prosperity. So I got this whole idea of this experience going back to the cosmic bus stop, the heavenly bus stop, that everything that we are choosing to experience and to volunteer to be is in the cosmos with a capital K.
There's a couple of things that you brought up. So for example, Reverend Michael, when he talks about the forgiveness process, he talks about different levels of forgiveness. And you know how they say like all forgiveness is self-forgiveness? Yes. It's like, I just couldn't get it in the beginning. I didn't understand that statement. It wasn't until I started to get a better understanding of the bus stop, including what just happened for me last week when I rewatched Jesus Christ Superstar and I saw that scene and I was like, so it's self-forgiveness because I wanted to grow in a certain way. So I had to forgive myself.
Yes.
Ultimately, but without bypassing and without speeding through the process, because we don't want to miss a single thing. You went through the trouble of deciding how you wanted to grow and now finding yourself here in this movie, in this film. And you're experiencing the challenges in a very real way, physically. So don't rush to the end, asking, okay, what am I supposed to discover about myself in this process?
In your definition, Rev, what is a spiritual bypass? I know what I know it is to be. I have some of the listeners who will listen to this later on, or the viewers. Some people want to know, what is a spiritual bypass? In your definition, what is it? What is a spiritual bypass?
So let's say, for example, that one morning I wake up and the money that was in my bank account is now gone, right? It's either it's been hacked or it's taken by the IRS, something very real. It's like
life be lifing, yo. Life be lifing.
And I could just say, well, you know what? The truth about me is that all that God is, I am. So I am abundant. So I'm just not going to worry about it.
I hear you. Yes. Yeah.
But in the meantime, it's like all the bills still have to get paid and there's just no money in that account right now.
Yeah.
So in or other moments where I've lost mobility in my body, and this has happened to me because of the condition. And the medical insurance disappeared overnight. And the treatments are $30,000 a month. I don't have that kind of thing. And it brought me to that couch. And I said, all right, God, you have my attention.
Yeah.
What are you up to right now? What do you want me to learn? What do you want me to let go of? What are you doing with me right now?
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Like not jumping straight. It's
straight to, yeah.
Right. Because there's something beautiful that wants to happen.
This is really good. You're dropping some nuggets and knowledge. And this is what I've been kind of looking at spiritual bypass, because in our teachings, like a book I read every single day is Science of Mind, 365 Science of Mind. That's my daily go-to. I'm reading. And, Ernest Holmes is an absolutist. It's like, boom, this is it. God is, period. Boom, 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 boom. And sometimes we can go to our readings and we need to have our spiritual devotions, our meditation time. We got to have our practice. Spiritual study is what we do. Sometimes we drop right into, I need to be at God is all that there is. God is the absolute power backing everything, boom, 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 boom. And yet we're still hanging out in our unforgiveness, our crying, our disappointment, our feeling marginalized, that we have not processed it.
Exactly.
And so I believe that is part of the reason why getting into classes, wherever you are, whatever church you're at or center you're at or wherever, or being online, to dissect these principles so we don't think, oh, we should be here right now and not do the work to get there. Some of our spiritual teachings never teach us really, or some of the books that we read doesn't really tell us how to get to that process.
That was my son's complaint for the last couple of years.
Well,
my son's like, "Can you tell me the how, Mom? Can you tell me
how do we get there? How do we get there, yo?"
And I love what you're saying about like inspirational reading, having a spiritual practice. That's how I start my day every day, and have for the last 12 years. There are a number of books on my nightstand. Right. So I pick one in the morning. I read something inspirational so that I'm reminded of the truth. And then I show up for my very human life.
Yeah.
But with that awareness of the truth, and it allows for the grace to be present as we move through our very human experiences.
That's amazing, because we are having these experiences in our human incarnation. So part of this is that I have my 2 books right here, and my 2 books I read every day is Acts of Faith by Jan Van Zandt, and then 365. And it was so interesting that you say that this morning I was teaching yoga online at 7:00 this morning, and I did a reading from Jan Van Zandt. It's January 10th. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I just want to read a little bit, and I'll tell you the process that I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? And it says, she quotes the Bible. She quotes Matthew 5:29, says, "If thy right eye offends thee, pluck it out." Now, Matthew wasn't talking about really literally plucking something out like your eye, but she writes this and says, "The only way to eliminate stress, pain, is to stop doing the things that created it." And she goes and she gives you all these choices. It's okay, so choose one. Is it your thinking? Is it belief that you're not good enough? Is it worrying about what other people think, worrying about what other people say? What are you plucking out of your life? And I'd sit with this and I'd say, oh, my unforgiveness, my worry, but how am I going to pluck that out? What will be the process for me to release and let go? What's going to happen? I believe it brought me into this space with you. Having this time of connection and connecting and having a high conscious conversation, that's a part of releasing the fear, the doubt, not good enough, the worry has always been the practice for me.
You said something at the beginning, right? That you were told as a child that you're so bad, you're going to be a minister.
Right.
So guess what the recording was that took place in the subconscious?
You're so bad. Yeah.
And that creates a subconscious belief that's running in the background of your life.
Yeah.
That then
absolutely.
Then we get to disprove.
Ooh. See, part of the education is re-educating. Re-educating. Part of this, we didn't even get a chance. So I think this will be next week's show. We're going to talk about spiritual travel and the importance of getting out of where you are and going to retreats and going to yoga experiences, going to different countries. I know you've traveled exclusively. So have I. We have 2 trips that's coming up. Your trip to Bali is this July. Mine is going to be next March in 2026. The powerful work that we do when we get out of our environment and going somewhere else to have these incredible, that's a practice. And I would love to be able to kind of invite people, as you see this, make sure you tap in and bring your questions into the feed. We can talk about spiritual travel and the practice of that and why it's so important. Rev, this went really quickly. We're at the shutdown, the closeout of this. This is like, oh, okay, here we are. Rev, where can people find you? Where can people really connect with you? Because you're powerful. You're powerful.
So my website is cynthiaabriz.org. And my email is on the bottom here of the video. And so you could either send me an email or log on to the website and send me a message. And I agree about the spiritual travel. When we travel, we access also frequencies that are available at these different locations. So Bali is saturated with prayer and all things spiritual. So when you and I go to this place, we tap into the frequency that assists us then in our next level of our evolution. It gives us like these codes that are needed for the next iteration of who we are.
I love it. I can't wait to travel with you. And you're also, where's your community and how can people find you online on Sunday mornings? Because you are part of the community out there as a Rev.
Yes. So the services are live streamed on YouTube and Facebook, and it's the Las Vegas Center for Spiritual Living. I'm one of 5 ministers at this church, so I will be speaking on January 26th.
Yes.
So feel free to log on to the Las Vegas Centers for Spiritual Living. .org.
That's powerful. Hey, y'all, you can follow me on all the social medias. I'm Rev Skip Jennings on all social medias. You can reach out to me at revskipjennings@gmail.com. And go to my website. My website is skipjennings.com. It's very easy to do. Also, just to let you know that we both have books. So go to our websites to find out our books. Get our books, and I have a new book that's coming out very soon. I'm very excited about it. It's about transformation after 50 because we're expanding in this human incarnation, and I'm just so excited for what we are going to do in this high vibe hour. And, just reach out to us and drop in your questions. If you have questions for us, we want to answer your questions because this is, we're all growing together in this together. Hey, y'all, make sure that you support the New Thought Media Network. And you can go to the website. It's thank you. ntmedmedia.org. I gotta do because we have all these acronyms and stuff like that, /donate. If this served you in any way, we invite you to act in the law of circulation. And the one thing I didn't mention is I'm the assistant minister at North Hollywood Church of Religious Science. I think I did mention in the beginning. So we have services on Sunday. We have 2 services, but one goes out live via Facebook at 9:45, and then we have live again at 11:30. We be busy, sis. You and I be busy. We be doing the work, and it's beautiful. Thank you, Rev.
Thank you.
This is a dream come true. This is a dream come true. I'm looking forward to next week's show. Hey, y'all, I love you, and if you're in LA area, keep your head up. I'm here with you. We're here with you. We're praying for you on a constant level here. So I think that's it for us. That's the hour. Can you believe it?
No, it's so much fun.
So much fun. So peace and blessings, y'all. Remember, transformation is a choice. And we are choosing today by you being here and watching this as a choice. Peace and blessings, everyone.
New Thought Media Network proudly presents The High Vibe Hour. The High Vibe Hour with Rev Cynthia and Rev Skip. Fridays at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. Only on New Thought Media Network.